Shocking find. Learning something every single day. Did you know that the Earth has a third pole? It's said it's where Alexander the Great, Hercules, and Dionysos were campaigning. And it's even on Wikipedia as a third pole. The South Asian high mountain region in the Himalayas, the Hindu Kush Karakoram. It's a region spread in an area of more than 4.5 million square kilometers, that's 1.7 million square miles in 10 countries. Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, China, India, Myanmar, Nepal, Pakistan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. These are all the areas where Alexander the Great had reached. The area stores more snow and ice than anywhere in the world, except for North and South poles, giving it the name of the third pole. And the third pole, with the world's loftiest mountains comprising all 14 peaks, are above 8,000 meters, that's 5 miles, in its source of 10 major rivers, and forms an awesome global ecological buffer. The third pole area possesses huge socioeconomic and cultural variance, being home to a range of ethnic communities conversing in more than 600 languages and many more dialects. It's been blessed with a rich natural resource and consists of all sorts of 4 global biodiversity hotspots. The mountain resources administer a wide range of ecosystem benefits and the base for the livelihoods to the 220 million inhabitants of the region, as well as incredibly to the 1.3 billion people, 1/4 of the world's population living in the downstream river basins. More than 3 billion people benefit from the food and energy produced in these river basins that have their roots in the mountains. This is almost half the world's population. And again, I'm translating from the Greek article concerning the third pole. And this is the area where the ancients were active with their campaigns and their conquering. So when we think of polar regions of the world, only 2 usually come to mind, the North and South Pole. But there is an area between south of China and north of India known as the third pole. It's because it's the third largest area of frozen water on the planet, although much smaller in extent than the North and South poles. It's extremely large, covering about 100,000 square kilometers, and has over 46,000 glaciers. 46,000 glaciers? It's the Himalayas, of course, as well. Scientists are researching the area in detail and have even warned that if the global warming effect of ice melts continues, it could affect the lives of 1.3 billion people. The importance of the third pole, everything that happens with ice in polar regions, is taken as a clear indication of climate change. When ice melts, for example, we know that the planet is warming, and as we read in the news lately, it's a very significant and very important matter because of the sea level rise and the extreme weather conditions that we're having. The northern and southern edges of the Earth are vital to climate regulation and are at the same time particularly sensitive to global warming. And the third pole, around the Himalayas, as we said, because it is high above sea level, is also sensitive to temperature changes. It's estimated that water flowing from the third pole supports 120 million people directly through irrigation systems, and a total of 1.3 billion indirectly through rivers in China, India, Nepal, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, and more countries. It's all, as we said, 10. It's almost 1/5 of the world's population. And the benefits of these, the production from these areas is almost 3 billion people. This remote area includes areas of the Himalayas, the Tibetan Plateau, and 10 of Asia's largest rivers, including the Yellow River, the Yangtze River in China, rivers in Myanmar, and the Ganges in India, and more. The effects of climate change. The Australian ABC was recently invited to visit one of these remote research stations in the third pole, led by Professor Qin Jiang. Scientists have been collecting data from this remote area for over 50 years, and recent findings are somewhat alarming. What caused scientists to wonder is that temperatures have risen by 1.5 degrees Celsius, which is more than twice the global average. So temperatures here have risen twice as much. Since 2005, the rate in which the third pole ice has melted has almost doubled. Research has shown that more than 500 small glaciers have completely disappeared from the 46,000, while others are shrinking rapidly. But global warming is not the only reason this group of scientists is worried. Dust and pollution from car exhausts and carbon burners causes the ice to settle down, causing them to absorb sunlight instead of reflecting what would be normally done. So research in this area is difficult, as scientists are hampered, of course, by the harsh weather and the political instability in these areas as well. The impact will slowly be felt far beyond that region, and unfortunately the continued melting of ice will be disastrous for the 1.3 billion people who depend on the third pole. Now, after all, it is perhaps noteworthy that in this area there are claims that 3 major ancient campaigns took place: Alexander the Great, Hercules before him, and Dionysos before him. Perhaps there was something more out there that we don't yet know. The theory of the hollow earth is really applicable, and that its north and south poles are huge entrances to this hollow earth. Possibly also in the so-called third pole there could be entrances into the hollow earth. There should be a huge entrance into the interior of the earth, and perhaps still it is no coincidence that in the third pole regions there are plenty of traditions concerning beings living somewhere on earth, under earth, who are entering and exiting from secret openings. It's perhaps not accidental that, according to various sources, Alexander the Great sealed these gates because he had imprisoned the giant titans Nephilim, the abominable races that were hybrid humans, as he was told to do, covering them, the openings, with special metals that these beings could not touch, otherwise it would be toxic to them, and building pyramids on top of them. I'll leave links below for you for this from the Greek article that I translated for you, Diadraastika. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.